All right, everybody, welcome to Talking Taker. What do we call it? Is this going to be episode 33?
33.
33,
Yep.
Let's call it that. A little bit different one, but this is still our encyclopedic exploration, digging up the career of the greatest professional wrestling character of all time. We appreciate you joining us for another round of Dead Man Talking. I am, as always, Alex Dorio, one half of the Creatures of the Night and your co-host here for this journey, a little bit off the track of our format of exploring every single Undertaker pay-per-view match and looking at his career in that fashion, but doing something a little bit different here. We're going to explain it. But before that, I am joined, as always, by my tag team partner, my wrestling buddy, Travis White. Travis, my man, are you ready to go back into the world of WWF home video?
I am, man. I got my flux capacitor ready to go. I'm going back. Let's see. We're in 1997 on the podcast. We're going to go back about 3 years to the end of 94, which is where this VHS takes place. I think it came out in 95, but yeah, all the matches we're going to review come from the, last quarter of 1994. So, yeah, man.
Do you have your Blockbuster card out?
I do not. I wish I did. I used to have my video to go card. Man, that was so much better than Blockbuster.
Oh, absolutely. The local video store is always better.
Yeah. Blockbuster died for a reason. They got too greedy. So, yeah, man. Local video store is where it's at. How many times did you rent this video?
Not very many on this one. I probably rented it once, but it's not much here. But we are covering something kind of fun here, a little diversion on our road to WrestleMania, as WrestleMania 34 is coming up in a couple weeks. We wanted to cover WrestleMania 13 on the week of WrestleMania 34. Thought that'd be fitting. So just looking at our timeline, we decided to throw in a little bonus episode, if you will, something a little fun. And I'm sure Undertaker is very much a big, important topic of discussion right now anyway. So we're going to go back into one of the Undertaker's exclusive WWF. I don't know if this is a Coliseum home video exclusive.
It is.
It is officially a Coliseum home video. Okay. This one's called He Buries Them Alive. This is actually his second home video that he had dedicated to him. Earlier one was called His Gravest Matches from, I think, 1993. But this one came out, as Travis mentioned, in 1995. And it was actually re-released on DVD. I don't know. I didn't see.
2003.
Okay. There you go.
2003. And in fact, because I watched, actually, it's your DVD that you watched a while ago and let me borrow, and I watched it the other day, and it has previews for WrestleMania 20 on it.
Okay.
So, yeah, it came out at the end of 2003, I believe. So, yep.
Well, we just thought it'd be cool. Like I said, I picked that one up from a used bookstore, Second and Charles, a couple months ago, and thought it'd be fun to review when we wanted to fill in with something different, something extra. And yeah, it's going to be a little diversion from the 1997 we've been covering, but I think you guys won't mind. Actually, you guys voted for it. We asked you if we were to do a bonus episode, what you'd like for us to cover, and this one came in on a close vote against the Shotgun Saturday Night episode where Undertaker fought Triple H. Maybe we'll cover that one another day, another time. But for now, we're going to dive into He Buries Them Alive. And before we talk about it, I just thought maybe we could talk a little bit about the video store, as we mentioned. Going to the video store to rent wrestling videos. It's an experience that our younger fans will not understand, will not have the same fondness for, but I know you and I both share a fondness for the video store. You mentioned the local one we grew up with, Video to Go, which had an incredible selection of wrestling videos.
They really did. It was awesome.
I picked up quite a few when they went out of business that I still got in my parents' closet in my old bedroom. But I worked at a video store called Movie Gallery for a couple years, another one called Video Warehouse for about a year. Just a lot of great memories, a lot of great times there. And, this was our WWE network before it existed. If you didn't if you didn't get enough wrestling between Monday Night Raw and Nitro and WCW Saturday Night, Thunder, Worldwide, Superstars, Action Zone, all that good stuff, you couldn't just pull up your WWE network. I mean, that was something we dreamed about, fantasized about.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Instead, you would either have to go to the video store and rent an old wrestling video that you probably already watched half a dozen times, Or if you were really lucky and had saved up a lot of money, maybe, just maybe, you could buy a wrestling video for, $20, $30, $40 back in the day. VHSs were expensive, man. You couldn't get these bargain bin things. So you had to get your wrestling fix that way. And, I mean, we've talked about this before. I don't think either one of us would have probably graduated college if the WWE Network had existed back then. Just to have that
definitely.
sort of content at your fingertips for that cheaper price, it's just mind-blowing.
I wouldn't have studied a lick in college. I wouldn't be married right now. I wouldn't have met my wife or anything. Would have had no time for anything. Would have no children. So it would have consumed me, unfortunately. So it's a good thing it came along when it did, when I was already an adult. Because man, renting videos is awesome. I remember. Of course, they came out months later than the show, so you already knew the results if you had the magazines or if you'd watching Raw and stuff. But it was something to be said about going back and watching that pay-per-view, because they would show you little still clips on Monday Night Raw or Nitro, but to actually see the whole match, you had to go rent that. And I remember, like I said, our local video store had a great selection, and I remember, coming in kind of being reintroduced and becoming a fan again in 1997 and just jumping headfirst. There was so much, because last I saw, Sting had blonde hair and electric face paint on his face, and now he was wearing black and white and coming down from the rafters. So I had a bunch of years to fill in, and I would go see that. And I remember Undertaker, and I always thought of him as a gravedigger type guy, and he was a dead man. And about 97, he was wearing a pirate outfit and actually wrestling and stuff. So I had some years and gaps to fill in there. So it was really fun for me to go back and kind of binge watch on those things. And I think you could rent like 5 nights for $5 or something, couldn't you?
That was the video to go special. Five movies,
awesome.
5 nights, 5 days, or $5. Yeah. I took advantage of that many times.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure you and I probably spent weekends renting those and watching them together and stuff. So it was just, good times, man. But to bring it back to this episode, I'd never seen this one. I didn't watch it until you let me borrow it from you. Glad you did. It's it's something. We'll get into it.
It is something. It's not one of the better home videos. It's only an hour, and this was in the time where they were kind of changing up those video models. It used to be, and it's really cool that they've started adding some of these to the WWE Network now. I've been craving them for 4 years for them to add these old Coliseum videos, because I have such a nostalgia point for renting them as a kid growing up, because not only was it additional wrestling, but they were always filled with feature matches. There were no jobber matches, no squash matches on these Coliseum videos. It was 2 hours of usually stuff that was taped exclusively for those videos, and it was guys wrestling each other that didn't always wrestle each other. On TV nowadays, you always see all the guys wrestle each other, and you've seen every combination of matches a million times. But back then, you could see a Typhoon versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan match, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen these guys wrestle before. And they're going to have a 12-minute match that ends in a double count-out, but I don't care, because it's cool, because I've never seen these guys fight each other before.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Or, we all think of the first ladder match as Razor and Shawn, but there was a Coliseum exclusive that was Brett and Shawn, and it was just at a house show. It was the very first official WWF ladder match, and it goes unrecognized, and Bret Hart still has heat, or still is angry about it, because he started it, he says. But anyway, I remember watching that one on a Coliseum home video. It was good stuff. And in fact, on this video we're going to talk about, there's a Coliseum home video, our exclusive, that's a coffin match, or excuse me, casket match. Casket match we'll get into. So cool stuff.
Very cool stuff, and if you've never seen this one before, we have posted it on our social media. Somebody has uploaded it onto Daily Motion, so you can go back and watch it. It's not on the WWE Network, although you can find some of these matches on the WWE Network. I think you can find 3 of them at least, of the 5 on there, but the other 2 you can find on YouTube or Daily Motion, or you can watch the whole presentation on there, in case you haven't done that already, if you want to follow along. But we're going to jump into it. So as you mentioned, this came out in 1995, but it's going to cover 5 feature matches from The Undertaker from 1994. And this starts off really you can tell that the budget has gone down quite a bit with these opening graphics.
Yeah.
This is the cheapest looking thing I've ever seen on a WWF production, I think. This terrible tombstone graphic that comes up.
It looks like something we made in remember in 96 we had to design a website in Tech Lab? That's
yes,
what it looked like.
That is what it looks like.
Things. I made this something as good as this and put it on my website back in middle school. So yeah, it's a headstone basically, and it'll say Undertaker versus whomever the opponent is. But yeah, it's really cheesy. Production is really low. Our host is the $1 Million Dollar Man, Ted DiBiase, who has a connection to The Undertaker. Because, of course, as we've covered here on Talking Taker, he's the one responsible for bringing in The Undertaker into the World Wrestling Federation.
And he brings that up in his intro, but this is so weird to me, too, because why is Ted DiBiase, the guy who's been feuding with The Undertaker through 94 and 95, why is he hosting this video dedicated to him? And he mentions that, it's kind of weird that I'm here.
I'll give credit where credit is due. The Undertaker is truly one of the greatest superstars ever in the World Wrestling Federation. I mean, I should know. I'm the one who originally brought him in the first place. Well, we put together a collection of some of the Dark One's greatest matches ever, including our first match, The Undertaker taking on my man, The Undertaker. I know it's confusing. I'm still confused. Well, anyway, let's take a look.
And he looks like he wants to be anywhere else in the world as well.
Oh.
He's barely on here. He must have recorded. He'd spent 10 minutes recording this in one take, I'm sure. And
Probably.
I just don't know. Everybody else had to be in the bathroom or something when they were recording this. Gorilla Monsoon, Todd Pettengill, Stan Lane, Vince McMahon, Jim Ross. Couldn't get any of these other announcers that would have made so much more sense.
Vince hosted it?
So odd.
Oh, it'd been incredible.
Yeah.
Vince hosting would have been awesome. So.
Sean Mooney. I know he wasn't there, but what else was Sean Mooney doing? I mean,
right.
Come on.
Oh, he lives in the vault apparently, according to the Raw 25 episode.
That's true.
Yeah, he just lives there. But there's no dates or anything for these matches, which is kind of strange. It doesn't give you a date, doesn't give you any context. I mean, the context based on it's all taking place around. Most of them is taking place around Survivor Series between September and November of that year. I actually did some research and I have the dates, but there's no dates given for any of it, not even the bottom corner or anything. Whereas, nowadays you'll see something like that on a video. It'll show you the date at the bottom, or on a DVD, rather. First match up is Undertaker versus The Undertaker at SummerSlam 94, which we've already covered.
You can jump into our archives for the SummerSlam 94 episode to hear our thoughts on that one. It's not a match I particularly want to watch again ever in my life after covering it for this podcast. And not the barn burner that's going to really get you excited to watch more Undertaker matches. But, as far as importance and I guess I want to say memorableness, but that's not really a word. But what am I looking for here? What am I trying to say? Just something that sticks out in your mind. There you go. It's there on the tape. If you haven't seen it before, you can watch it. But we're going to skip that one. We've talked plenty about that one before.
Yep. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen it, the real Undertaker wins. He dumps the Undertaker in the double wide, double deep casket, and they roll him away. So, and then from there, we immediately go to the next headstone that shows us we got Undertaker versus Kwang. Again, there's no transition. I thought maybe it would go back to $1 Million Man or show us a date or something. Nope, just boom, next match. Here you go. And this is from a Raw taping that actually aired on it. This match aired on September 12th, 94. I think the taping was a few weeks before. That's back when they used to tape, 3 or 4 weeks in a row. So, but this match actually aired on Monday Night Raw on September 12th, 94. So
yeah, I was very confused watching this before I looked it up because it is from Monday Night Raw, and we didn't really cover it going through that period when we did, but Vince McMahon and Macho Man are on commentary, and I was confused because Undertaker's gotten on his purple gear, purple gloves, so it's supposed to be post SummerSlam that we've just seen. Right. But Paul Bearer has the tiny urn. He doesn't have the big mega urn that we saw him debut at SummerSlam. So I couldn't quite figure it out. And like you said, they actually taped it before SummerSlam and
That
aired
makes
it
sense.
after SummerSlam back in
Okay.
September of '94. So it's weird that he returned at a Raw taping with the purple get-up that we would see him debut at SummerSlam. He actually wore it at this Raw taping, and the fake Undertaker had wrestled earlier in that Raw taping against Lex Luger. So kind of weird that those fans got to see both sides of that, both Undertakers, and I don't know how much of that was explained to them or if that even made sense to them at the time.
Yeah.
But it's a little odd that they're taping stuff before that big reveal of the Undertaker's return that's going to air a little bit later, and obviously they hadn't had the mega urn completed, the construction of it yet, because Paul Bearer didn't have it yet. But Undertaker up
I noticed
against
that his
go ahead.
No, I noticed that his gloves are purple, and I was wondering. Yeah, that's when I went back and saw the taping cycle, and I was like, "Oh, that makes sense now." But yeah, it is strange. But
Man,
what were you gonna say?
What do you remember about Kwang? When did you first hear about Kwang? I know you weren't watching back then.
Oh, I remember we were talking the other day, and we were talking about Kwang, and I think it's Savio Vega under a mask, basically.
Yes.
Much heavier Savio Vega.
The
dude, he is big here.
Puerto Rican Savio Vega playing a Japanese ninja, and that grand old tradition of, hey, he's not white, so we'll just make him whatever ethnicity we need to. Same
Exactly.
as Yokozuna, a Samoan playing a Japanese person, or Kofi Kingston being from Ghana and playing a Jamaican,
Right.
In that grand old wrestling tradition.
Oh, well, yeah, and he's Kwang, the martial arts expert, as Vince tells us on commentary, and he's got that mysterious green spew. Like, spew? You chose the word spew. Green spew, not green mist. I guess that was who's that? Great Muta has the green mist. So yeah, Vince he's got the green spew.
It's spew.
Yeah.
He's gonna spew.
Exactly. He's gonna spew. So it's a much heavier Savio Vega, as I mentioned, and this match does have Vince and Macho Man on commentary. It's back in the good old days.
What a great tandem that is.
Yeah, man, it's so good.
And it takes place, dude. This building. It's in Lowell, Massachusetts, which I'm not even sure is a real town. I've never heard of it before.
Well, that's where Samoa Joe beat Finn Balor for the NXT title. Yeah.
It might have been at this building. It looks like a building that NXT would run. It is pitiful for the WWF, man. It looks awful.
Yeah.
It's so tiny.
It's small. It is, man. It was neat, though. It's a neat crowd because it's small. It's kind of intimate. It does feel like an NXT show at this point. So, yeah, I mean, that's Savio Vega. Luckily, he gets a new gimmick and becomes Savio Vega and does some better stuff.
I guess.
But
I've never been a huge fan of his. I've never really enjoyed watching much of his stuff, but I know a lot of the wrestlers say a lot of good stuff about him. Steve Austin always heaps praise upon him, but I never got it. I never saw it with him. Especially
it's definitely better than Kwang,
yes.
The Green Spew. So, and he got to be on Undertaker's Survivor Series team a year from now. So, yeah, because they're boys. So we're not gonna really break this match down. There's just, it's not much to be said here. Savio Vega gets a little bit of offense here, but you got your signature taker spots. You got the body slam, an apron stunner, the old school,
and the perfect 10 clothesline landing on the outside. And go ahead.
You know who Kwang has out there with him? Did you notice who his manager was?
Good old Harvey Whippleman.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a continuation of this feud that Undertaker had with Kamala, the Ugandan giant. I guess now Harvey's just gone to a different continent.
Different country.
Somebody, Japanese martial arts expert with the green spew.
Spew. And speaking of the green spew, man, we're just here, we're here for the finish. Everything's worth it for this finish. Arguably, maybe the greatest finish in the Undertaker's career, man. I'm just going to throw that out there. It's my favorite thing I've ever seen.
It's like an alternate finisher from a Mortal Kombat game or something. Go right ahead, Nick. Please walk the people through this. Well, it's fantastic.
The spew comes into play as Kwang unleashes the spew and spits it into the Undertaker's face to try to escape from him. But
Whippleman's distracting the referee this time, so the spew is going to be able to be spewed.
The Undertaker's hair is all down in his face, and he sells it for a minute, and then whips his hair back from his face, and allegedly has caught the spew in his mouth and then spews it back onto Kwang's face, the same spew, to blind him, hit the tombstone, and get the pin.
No, man.
You know what this reminded me of?
Chokeslam. Huh? Yeah, what?
Do you remember The Mask, the Jim Carrey movie? Where
absolutely. First DVD I ever got came on DVD player.
Perfect.
That and Wedding Singer.
It's when the bad guy has the mask on towards the end, and the guy's shooting him up with bullets, and he like sucks the bullets through his lungs into his mouth, and his mouth becomes a rifle, and he starts shooting the bullets out of his mouth like that.
That is a perfect analogy.
It's the same time period, man. It could have been.
It is.
It could have ripped that off. It could have been what they were thinking for this finish.
Wonder which came first, man. Wonder which came first. Yeah, but it really, man, it's like one of those alternate, like Mortal Kombat has like the real fatalities. Mortal Kombat 2, I think they might have just had fatalities, but then Mortal Kombat 3 things got weird. You had babalities and animalities and stuff like that. This felt like one of those like silly ones, like the little whoop-dee guy comes out of the corner of the screen. Yeah, this felt like that. Like Undertaker absorbs the green mist, excuse me, and then, I mean, he's got someone else's spit in his mouth, and then he's going to spew it back in the guy's face, chokeslam him, and get the 1, 2, 3. It was so strange. But yeah, that's worth the price of admission here to watch this match. It's fantastic. I wish that match was last. We could end on a high note.
Oh, me too.
But anyway, yeah. So then after that, again, we go back to Ted DiBiase. He tells us which match is next. That's all he says. He's like, "Here's the Undertaker versus Yokozuna casket match from Survivor Series 1994," and then he goes to the match. It's just like, all right.
It sounds like something I edited out. Like there's like a brief pause where nothing is said. Like there's action on the screen and nothing is said. I don't know what it was, but I don't have any inside information. But that was kind of weird. So yeah. Undertaker versus Yokozuna. We also covered that back in the archives, Survivor Series '94, with special troubleshooting referee Chuck Norris. Had a lot of fun covering that one as well. Man, it's just we don't need to cover it again. We covered it a lot, but it's just funny going back into 1997 now, and this is the first time we've kind of gone backwards and looked at some of this other stuff. And the Undertaker has come a long way, man. He really has changed as a wrestler. He's had the chains taken off of him, if you will, and is not just doing this zombie monster character, and is showing off that he is one of the most skilled performers and like in-ring performers, not just as a character as well. And you didn't see that as much. We saw the performance aspects when he's taking on the Undertaker, fake Undertaker, and he's taking on Yokozuna, and he's doing a great job as a character and telling a story, but you're not seeing that in-ring skill that we've been able to see these past few episodes that we've done. So kind of cool to look back on that.
It is. It's been a nice little pause for us because I think we can get bogged down and take for granted kind of what the action that we're witnessing now in '97. But again, I've recently been listening to some shoot interviews. I listened to some on YouTube. One, it actually was Undertaker. It had to be an interview from like 2002 or something because they were talking about the initial brand split. But the guy asked him something like, "What's your favorite opponent?" And he said, or my favorite match was Hell in a Cell with Shawn. But again, this was at the time in 2002. But he said one of my favorite matches was '96 Royal Rumble with Brett because I actually got to wrestle. I got to move out of the zombie mode and show people I could actually wrestle, which is what I wanted to do. I did that character. I did it well, I think, but I finally was able to wrestle. Which again, we've noted and we've noticed the last 10 episodes of this podcast is that he's actually been able to wrestle now and show that. But yeah, digging in this video, this VHS, DVD, whatever you want to call it, it's been fun to go back and be reminded of the Zombie Taker that we're so used to. Really neat stuff. So.
The next match is not so neat, unfortunately. It is the Undertaker versus Jim the Anvil Neidhart from an episode of WWF Superstars. Not currently available on the WWE Network, but you can find it elsewhere if you want to see it. So it's cool to explore something besides Monday Night Raw and the pay-per-views here. Getting to see a match from Superstars with Vince McMahon and Jerry Lawler on commentary. My main takeaway from this is that the Anvil is not good at this point, man. Like, as a singles wrestler, Hart Foundation, legendary tag team, no doubt about it. He played a great role in there, but in 1994, as a singles wrestler, it wasn't pretty, man. Seeing the Anvil in the ring.
Yeah, it's something. I don't know. There's not too much to say. Honestly, I was more entertained by Owen on the outside.
Oh, he is great.
Owen Hart.
He is having a
and
ball.
this match is from it aired on November 19th. I don't remember if you said that or not. November 1994 is when it aired. I'm not sure when it was filmed. Probably sometime in October. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, the one thing, Paul Bearer at this point in his career is still loving his own reflection in the urn. So I think there are close-ups, almost all these matches of him, rubbing his nose against the urn, looking at himself, and ooh, yeah, it's so good. So to be reminded of that, because again, in the current timeline we're in, 97, they're not together anymore, so we don't get to see that. So it has been fun to revisit that. Yeah, but yeah, Owen on the outside, he's looking at the camera, and as Neidhart's getting beat up, and he's going, he's only human, and looking right at the camera and telling, Undertaker, plead with him to stop because he's only human. So
he's having a blast.
Neat. He is having fun.
It's cool to see.
Paul Bearer leaves ringside, runs away, basically, and the commentary's like, where's he going? And he comes back out with the double wide, double deep casket. And opens. I guess this takes place right before Survivor Series.
Yeah, they're building up Survivor Series, the casket match with Yokozuna. So
yeah, which they should have played these in the opposite order on the tape.
Yes.
I'm not sure why they did that. So I was very confused. That's why I had to go do my due diligence and research it and see what the timeline was. It was backwards.
Not a lot of time and effort and thought was put into this.
No.
I would say that. So yeah, the finish of this one, the casket gets brought out, and it's real crappy finish. But Anvil ends up being rolled into the casket, and takes like 30 seconds to realize he's in a casket, and starts freaking out about it. Hops out of the casket and runs away to get counted out. So the Undertaker can't even get a clean win over Jim Neidhart here. Come on.
Seriously. Anvil won't do the JOB for him, huh? So, yeah, it's about 6 minutes long. About 4 minutes too long. So that's the finish. There's no reason to drag it out. But yeah, Anvil, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't the greatest match. But again, I guess it's on Superstars, it's building that casket match. It's showing that the guys are scared of it, because Yokozuna's terrified of it. So anyway, I don't know. I'm trying to find some silver lining here.
You don't have to. It's okay.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
The next match is
the main event.
Aside from the finish to the Kwang match, this is my favorite actual match on the videotape. I do think this is worth seeking out and finding. This is Undertaker versus Jerry Lawler. Jerry the King Lawler, and this is actually a Coliseum Video exclusive. It has a banner hanging up. I don't know if it's a legit banner or if they like superimposed, I don't know.
No,
but anyway,
yeah.
so it has Coliseum Video exclusive. This is from Wrestling Challenge taping on September 28th, 94. So again, out of order. They should have put this, but I guess they wanted the tape to end on a high note. So
it does.
This is the best in-ring performance here. Go ahead, say something, and then I'll interject here.
I mean, what a cool anomaly this is, a hidden gem, if you will. Undertaker versus Jerry the King Lawler. Pretty neat to be able to see that. I know you and I are both huge marks for the King. I love seeing him wrestle. I appreciate him more and more the older I get. And he was incredible on commentary and an incredible performer in the ring. And he pulls out all the Jerry Lawler tricks here. This is your classic heel Jerry Lawler match. But it starts off, and it is a casket match. Stan Lane and Gorilla Monsoon are on commentary, which is quite the interesting commentary team here. Stan Lane and Gorilla Monsoon.
Stan Lane.
I haven't talked about him much.
I couldn't remember his last name.
Yeah,
he said Stan, and I was like, God, who is that? Stan?
Midnight Express.
I couldn't remember Stan Lane. Yeah, I'm with you now. Yeah, I had a brain fart there. I couldn't remember who it was.
My second favorite spot from this whole tape is Paul Bearer. He's got the big mega urn here, and Lawler rolls to the outside early in the match, and Paul Bearer pops the lid off the urn and just shines the flashlight in there to blind the King. He says, I think Gorilla says, that spotlight's like a sun lamp. It's gonna burn his eyes.
Yeah, it's so good, man. It was awesome seeing them use that, as a dirty tactic from Paul Bearer. So
That's
it was
great.
fun. That was good. But yeah, this I don't know if does Jerry Lawler. He hardly takes any bumps in this, but he works the crowd.
You just talked about
He's got
Jerry
the
Lawler's
crowd.
entire career.
Yeah, oh yeah. He only takes like 14 bumps in his whole like 60-year career. He is just incredible at working the crowd, and it just goes to show, even as a heel, if you're over as a heel, you don't have to bump. And I mean, you can bump and feed for like the comeback at the end of the match or whatever, but he didn't have to do that. He just has all these little nuances down and stuff, and it's so awesome. So, yeah, Paul Bearer blinds him with the light, and Lawler's crawling across the ring like a puppy dog, on all fours, but he's just so animated, and he gets you to hate him, and he pulls something from his pants, and I just wrote he's working the crowd so well, and he hits Undertaker with that object, whatever it is, we don't know. Do we ever really find out?
It's nothing. He doesn't have anything in his hands. He's pantomiming,
yeah.
And that's the brilliant part of it. Like 90% of the time, when Jerry Lawler does that spot, he doesn't have anything in his hand.
Yeah.
He's just sticking his hand down his pants and acting like he just got something in his fist. Like the announcers think it's a roll of quarters,
Right.
And he's pretending to hit the Undertaker with it. It's just the most brilliant stuff that is completely lost to today's day and age of wrestling, and the crowd just eats it up.
Yeah, they do.
It's great.
And Gorilla says that the Undertaker couldn't see the object because the hair is in his face, and I quote this, like one of them Newfoundlanders.
Well, not hard to understand why the Undertaker didn't see it. Got all that hair hanging down in front of his face, like one of those big Newfoundlanders.
What does that even mean? He's like, his hair's in his face like one of them Newfoundlanders.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, I thought that's what you caught too, man.
Oh, no.
I don't even know. Were they in Newfoundland when they filmed this? I don't even know what that means. Is he anti, like Newfoundland? Is he
Apparently.
anti-Viking? Is he not a Viking apologist? I'm not sure, but at some point, Gorilla Monsoon has some heat with the Newfoundlanders, so he doesn't like Undertaker's hair. So
Yeah, he's not a fan of it. Lawler actually takes over here and knocks Undertaker down and gets him in the casket with the lid about 2 inches from being shut to win this match. Before and he turned his back on the Undertaker, which he probably would have had time to get the lid shut if he hadn't done that.
Yep.
But
but that scene before or that leading up to that spot is so cool because he's trying to get Taker down, and he's hitting him with the quote unquote object over and over again, and coming off the second rope, and Undertaker won't go down, and then he finally falls over. It just goes to show that little nuance. Like both these guys, even though one's a seasoned 40-year vet at this time, or whatever, 30-year vet, and Undertaker's wrestling for 6 years or whatever, 5 years, he still knows what's up. He knows how to do this spot, and you don't fall over immediately. Get the crowd to build it up so that when you finally do fall over, it looks, I don't know, it means more. So yeah, it's really cool. And then like you said, turn your back on Undertaker. He probably could have won if he closed the lid, but he didn't. Of course, no one ever does.
No.
If people would just roll Undertaker in and slam the lid, they'd win the casket matches. But they don't.
And Undertaker, I don't know, did he hit Jerry Lawler right in the tombstones?
With the object.
Is that what the announcer said?
He hits him in his apple midsection, is what they say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he hits Undertaker with the object, and commentary is ripping on Jerry Lawler's apple midsection. They just keep talking about his ample?
Yeah, his ample midsection.
I thought he said apple.
No.
I thought he said apple. Talking about how,
That's not a phrase.
Man. No, they're talking about how out of shape he is.
Yeah, ample, like wide. There's a lot of it there.
No. I think he said apple. I'll stand by it. Apple. It was like an apple. So, anyway, agree to disagree. So,
okay. That's a shirt.
At this point.
Apple midsection.
Yeah, let's do that. Undertaker gets in control, and then King hits a low blow, which doesn't matter because it's no DQ.
So, that's where one of them said he hit him right in the tombstones. That's where one of the announcers said that.
That's it.
But the Gorilla Monsoon had my line of the DVD when he said that as Lawler's trying to roll Undertaker in the tombstone, he Paul Bearer's on the outside crying, saying no, and
Once again, a close-up shot of Paul Bearer. Wow, This match can't go too much longer because Paul Bear can't go very long without some kind of sustenance. A face only a mother could love is another thrust to the throat of Jerry Lawler.
What did Paul Bear ever do to him?
Being savage to Paul Bear.
Yeah. Oh, man. Calling out people's apple midsections and calling out they need some sustenance. Gorilla's on fire tonight.
He says at one point, too, Paul Bear's looking in the urn, and he says the urn's making him look fatter than he already is. Just like, no beating around the bush, man.
Paul Bear's a face at this point, so yeah. Not sure what the heck. But, oh, man. So good. It's good stuff, man.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, oh no, I lost my place here.
Well,
anyway, I think at this point, the match is almost over here. We got Tombstone City. Again, we mentioned earlier on in the archives of this podcast that Brock Lesnar owes Gorilla Monsoon some marketing money for or some residuals from Suplex City because he coins Tombstone City, and
Undertaker that's a shirt too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just a city, like a skyline with a bunch of tombstones in it.
No,
great.
Just make it just like Brock Lesnar's shirt, except it says Tombstone City on there.
And you want to make us a T-shirt, we'll happily accept that. Tombstone City hits Tombstone, and then he rolls Lawler in the box and slams the lid. It's about 8 minutes long. So then after this, Gorilla Monsoon says, "You know what they should do? They should set the casket on fire." It's like, what is he even drinking tonight?
Oh,
he
yeah.
Close the casket lid. The King, Jerry Lawler, and now Lawler being rolled out. Can you imagine the feeling of Jerry the King Lawler as he's being rolled out in the casket? He'd be fitting now if they set the thing on fire and send him off to the promised land. Whoa!
He hates Newfoundlanders. He hates your apple bottoms. He hates whatever else it was, and then he wants you to light the casket on fire. So
Gorilla was 3 sheets to the wind, and they pulled him in and said, "Dude, we gotta have somebody record commentary for this Coliseum video exclusive." So they rolled him in there, man, and he was letting loose. Dude, I love that, man.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, and I do want to correct something that you and I, an episode that we recorded. I guess it was the, was it the Royal Rumble or no, maybe Fatal 4-Way. Final Four. I can't remember, but we mentioned how Undertaker dimmed the lights by lowering his hands. We thought for the first time backstage. He actually does it here on this Coliseum exclusive match. He's in the middle of the ring. He lowers his hands and the lights go out. So apparently we were 3 years off. We missed it. But again, because it's a Coliseum exclusive, we weren't covering it on our pay-per-views. So
that's
anyway.
Right. And then Ted DiBiase wraps things up, and we get a Tombstone Rest in Peace RIP graphic to close the video out, which was a cute way to end it, I suppose. Again, I looked back at my notes. I forgot to say Ted DiBiase coined a new nickname for the Undertaker here at the beginning of the tape.
Oh,
he called the Undertaker the Dark One. The Dark One. I haven't heard that one before.
Well,
the Dead Man. And now we have the Dark One.
Well, that explains a lot about Once Upon a Time, the TV show, because I don't know if you've ever seen that, but I used to watch the first several episodes. That's like the main villain in the whole thing. The whole mythology is the Dark One. So apparently Undertaker will pop up in the finale coming up, I guess. We'll be on the lookout, ladies and gentlemen. The Dark One could be the Undertaker.
Are you sure you want the world to know that? You know that much about Once Upon a Time?
Oh, I don't watch it anymore. I gave up on it. It's too ridiculous. So I did watch it. It was stupid though. Eventually, so gave up. If Undertaker goes back as the Dark One, I'll watch it.
Yeah, sure.
But this DVD is under an hour long. It's a really fun trip down nostalgia lane. It's a neat reminder of how far Undertaker's come, especially in the last 3 years. Again, as we're up to 97. So yeah, fun stuff. Fun stuff.
If you've got nothing better to do, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably don't have anything better to do. Go ahead and check it out. We've got the links on our all our social media, which is, of course, at Talking Taker on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We love to connect with you on all of those platforms. So go check us out, and you can listen and subscribe on all the different podcast avenues. We'd love to connect with you there and let us know what you think. And, of course, come back next week. We are going to be covering WrestleMania the 13th. Undertaker versus Sid for the WWF Championship. The Undertaker's first ever WrestleMania main event. How perfect is that? We're going to be covering that the same weekend as WrestleMania 34. We hope you will be here for that. Download that. Watch the match. Watch the build-up. We're going to cover it all. We are excited to talk about it here. Next week's episode of Talking Taker.
Absolutely. If you were at any of these matches that were on this DVD, especially the Jerry Lawler match, I would like to know, because that match was really, really fun to watch. If you were at any of these, please let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Please, again, tell your friends, download, subscribe to our podcast. We really had a high amount of traffic on our podcast. A lot of downloads coming, so we appreciate you guys spreading the word. It really means a lot to us. Thanks again to our local and international fans. We love it all. And with that being said, take her easy.
Lawler's head in midair. Drops a big boot to the midsection, the ample midsection of Jerry the King Lawler. Boy, he didn't miss too many meals. No, he didn't. Burger King on the way for Jerry Lawler.